Hi everyone, hi and welcome back to another episode of Battle Rap Resume. This is your host Tom Quee. Thank you so much for joining me. Please follow us on Twitter at Battle Rap Resume. Please email me, battlerapresume@gmail.com, any queries or concerns or, kind of like points of view. It's kind of a BBC thing that people might be aware of. It's kind of lame but kind of compulsive. It's just kind of the admin of this organisation. And if you're interested in any kind of stuff about the podcast, like I can elucidate, or maybe you want to debate favourite top 5 whatevers, check on the channel, by the way, top 5 favourite Don't Flop battles. I did that video with a good friend of mine, Danny O'Gorman, huge fan of battles, and me and him both shared our top 5 favourite Don't Flop battles. In a weird coincidence, we both shared the same #1 favourite Don't Flop battle, which I'll spoil. It was Soul Matter, which is an incredible battle, comes up in this podcast all the time. Shout out to Soul, shout out to Matter, shout out to Incredible Battle, Chronicle and the front. Shout out to everyone involved there. Amazing matchup, and that's on the channel. And what we're going to do is, subscribers are coming thick and fast, and I really want to say thank you to people. 500 is something that we've broken by now, and we're aiming for 1,000, and there's a lot of people coming by, and just to kind of celebrate that, we'll have these milestone episodes. So when 1,000 subscribers comes along, I might do like top 5 favorite URL, then 1,500 King, etc., just kind of incarnations of that. Also, we have the shop, the Redbubble shop, if you want to get a sticker, if you want to get a shirt, if you want to get anything really, the Battle Rap Resume logo plastered on, iPhone cases and dog bowls, etc. You can go there, and we get a little portion of that, helps to run the podcast, but it's just cool. Check out, maybe something of interest to you. It's kind of like King of the Dot stuff is actually really cool. Like I don't hate to admit it, like I'm really happy it is, but kind of the lines they have are excellent, so maybe you'll see Battle Rap Resume as a certain composite of that. But anyway, my guest today is really kind of a veritable renaissance man. It was quite interesting where I discovered my guest LAUGH-N-STALK. I discovered him through Weekly Battle Feed, which is a fucking terrific weekly battle rap show, kind of news, wrapping up in a very satirical way, yet very informative. The writing is tremendous. I praised him in the Clayton Dam episode, and that's kind of how this union's happened. But then I started watching his battles and really enjoyed his battles, and then I realized he was doing a lot of interview-based stuff as well, just a lot of extracurricular stuff. But it was one of those things, where it wasn't like you were really good at the media side and then you weren't good at battling. Like I watched the Jeffrey battle and I was very impressed, man. It's very impressive that you juggle both sides.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I try and carve my own niche. If I don't feel confident in one, I will branch out to another. I feel like I can gauge myself as a battler pretty appropriately. I don't have the most confidence. I could use some help with my body language. So I just figured, hey, if I'm going to be awkward on stage, why don't I be awkward behind a camera? Why don't I be awkward behind a microphone? And if people vibe with it, then that's my shtick. So I'll ride my flaws all the way to the bank, which I've yet to do, but I'm hoping I will someday.
No, I'll vouch that it works. Like watching your battles, some battles in particular, I think that the Joe Cutter and the Jeffrey battle, if you're a fan of just writing, like kind of purposeful, kind of, it's very clear what you're trying to do with these bars. They kind of, they're quite almost like flourishes, that they are something that you seem to enjoy battle rap so much. And I think that's why the performances work so much. There is a genuine sense that you're just kind of vibing off it. You're very happy to be there.
I do, yeah. I've always, I've tried stand-up comedy in the past, and it was terrifying. And
like a lot of battle rappers, right? It's a weird Venn diagram.
Yeah, there's I don't know if you guys have this program over there, but there's a program called Last Comic Standing. Yeah. Which I auditioned for about 10 years ago in Arizona, and I did terribly, and it was terrible. So I said, I enjoy the premise of making people laugh in a big room and getting the instant gratification. So I just figured, okay, if I'm not going to go on a stand-up comedy stage and piss my pants, maybe I'll take a step back and find a new avenue. So I really do enjoy, performing, and really just no battler will admit this. Because they don't want to seem weak or pussy. But a great part about being involved in the battle rap community is the camaraderie. You're surrounded by friends. You're surrounded by people you enjoy and people you respect. So it's a very loving atmosphere, as much as the fake gangsters want to pretend it's not.
No, it's fantastic in the Jeffrey battle to see, Saurus and Caustic and Daylight. Everyone's just loving it. Like, it's like an old grind time kind of vibe in that one. Like, it's great.
Absolutely, and I think a lot of people are today's fans. Not people who started watching yesterday, but a lot of people look back at the old grind time days as a bit of a golden era where everyone was laughing, everyone had a good time. You didn't need quintuple entendres with 9 multis to get a reaction. You could just, your mom is looks like a chia pet, and I was like, yeah, talk to him. So the standards were a bit lower, and we were impressed a bit easier. And so, you know, when you can kind of take a step back and look at how simple things used to be and how much fun we used to have, it's almost, you know, it's nostalgic, but people still appreciate it.
And during this, you know, the stand-up era, the kind of trying out for Last Comic Standing, etc., that kind of moment in your life, was the material, like, did it have traces of battle rap? Was it wordplay-esque? What was the kind of persona you had?
No, I'm a big Saturday Night Live fan, and I'm a huge Norm Macdonald fan. There's also a writer named Jack. Yeah, there's a writer named Jack Handy who, so he is just these. You know, I wanted to be those guys, but you can't be someone as unique as a Norm Macdonald. Or Jack Handy wrote a joke. It was It's like, all my life I've been afraid of clowns. I'm not sure why. I think it has to do with the time I went to the circus as a child and a clown killed my dad. So, like, just, you know, the little twist at the end of the punch, I've always been a fan of that humor, and I've tried to adapt that into battling, but my stand-up material was awful. My first open mic, I was the youngest guy there by 15 years, and so I get on stage, and there's this drunken woman, and she very drunkenly says, "Does your parents know you're out?" Because I was like 17 at the time. So I very coyly grabbed the mic and said, "Does the zoo know you're out?" Which got a great big laugh, and it was a wonderful starter. But the problem was my material was nowhere near that funny. So I set the tone of like, all right, this guy's going to be good. And then, I did jokes about, you think Santa runs a sex shop in the North Pole? And it's just,
what?
So it was just like, wow, your opener was way funnier than the other 4 minutes. So I don't know. I think people tend to take their artistic direction based off of their idols, and so I just want to be different. I just try my best to be absolutely different.
So you were 17, 2003 trying out. So it's fair to say that you're a little bit more seasoned, perhaps. Were you watching a lot at this time, or was that something that came much later?
Well, I started watching battle rap when a dear friend of mine named DED, a battle rapper out here, he posted, and that's another thing a lot of rappers will lie about. Two things battle rappers will lie about, or people who are fans, is when they have their first battle. No matter who you ask, it's always going to be, "Oh, I battled in the parking lot of a grocery store when I was 5. I was like, okay, no, you didn't. I'll tell you right now.
Jay Short said that, actually, the Don't Flop battler just recently.
Oh, really? Yeah, no. My first battle's on camera. It's on YouTube. Like, that was my first battle. And they'll also lie about when they started watching battles. Oh, I had smack battles on cassette tapes in the late 80s. It's like, no, you did not. My first time I watched a battle, my friend DD posted Dumbfounded Tantrum on MySpace, and I watched it, and I loved it. It was kind of new at the time, relatively new, but I believe the Saurus and Dumbfounded was really new at the time, and that was a related video, so I watched that, said, this is great. Watched the WRCs, just went on a related video clicking spree. And then from that's how battle rap goes. Once you're down that rabbit hole, it's really hard climbing out. So just kind of one day, and I told Tantrum, I was like, "You're the reason my life is horrible. Thanks for doing that." And he's like, "No problem." So yeah, that's how I started. I'm not gonna pretend I don't know. I'm really bad at years. What was Dumbfounded the Source? It was like 2008, 9, 6?
Yeah.
Wow. All right, cool.
Maybe. Let's do it. Maybe a little later than that. I'm not too sure, but
a long time ago,
early, kind of, before King of the Dot, that kind of early era. So, I mean, how long before being a fan becomes writing bars? Were you like everyone else, and just sometimes things just come in your head? You might even mishear a bar, and then when you rewatch it, you realize it wasn't said a certain way. And you're like, oh, I can use that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I was watching these grind time battles and thinking these guys are really good. And my buddy DED, who showed me my first battle, he was battling for this league called Assault and Battling.
Right.
And I went with him. to the event, my first battle rap event, where I ended up meeting a lot of dear friends of mine like Lex D, Tino, guys I ended up battling. And so I was watching these local performers, and, granted, a lot of them are my friends, but I was thinking, all right, I don't know if I could hang with these grind time guys I watch on YouTube, but I can hang with these guys. Like the bar is a bit lower, and I feel like I have just enough to stand on my own. And that's when I said, hey man, I've never rapped a day in my life, but can I please say some jokes to a lot of these guys? And my buddy Daniel got me the job, and
and that's how Tino came about.
But I'm a fan of other languages. That's why I came to ask, is white bread wetback? That's exactly what Spanglish is. Now you might be thinking, but Tino might not be Mexican, so why go there? I'm a white battle rapper. I don't care.
Yeah, Tino, my first battle was against this guy, Corey the Kid. And so from there, battle rap, if you want to make it, people like to ask, how do you get started in battle rap? Basically, is just offer yourself to the most backyard league you can find, anyone that'll has a camera. And if you perform well, the offers will come to you. If people like you or you stand out in someone's head, they'll say, come battle here, come battle there. So I got offered, after my first battle, I was offered to battle with my friend Tino on 16-hour notice, which I took.
They mentioned that at the start. Yeah, it's mad.
Yeah, actually, it was the night before. So we battled on 16-hour notice, one round. It was in front of Awkward.
Jay Fox, Tall T, like big people.
Oh yeah. R.I.P. Tall T. He was this nicest guy, and Fox. Yeah, all the Stockton 209 guys were there. And so, as someone doing his second battle on 16-hour notice, I was nervous as all hell, but it went well. Tino and I ended up doing the first ever wrestling bars battle. We had a rematch of nothing but wrestling bars. And he's like my mistress. I feel like if I ever have my last battle, it has to be with him.
Okay. He battles a lot, doesn't he? I hadn't heard of him until this episode. He's been battling forever, and he's still doing it yearly.
Oh yeah, I think the protocol for most people is, or at least people in my scene, is when you start battling, you grind. You battle 10 times a year. You don't turn down an offer, and then after a few years, you kind of get a bit more picky choosy, invest your time a bit more wisely. Tino, like myself, was battling at every other Central California event. He's battled J-Pro. He battled Looney Divine. He's battled a lot, and he doesn't battle nearly often enough. His cousin, Cypher, is actually a Democratic delegate for Bernie Sanders, and he was on CNN a few weeks ago. He booked my first battle. And he's battled guys like Caustic and stuff. And it's just literally family, basically, a lot of times in the California battle scene is you do battle your cousins, and, your step uncle shows up to the event. So,
right.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great camaraderie going on over here.
Yeah, and, Tino basically agrees to the battle at the start of starts the battle and saying, like, he only acknowledged you a day ago, your existence, because he didn't know the hell
I didn't really exist until that day. And I completely agree with that.
That was quite existential, actually, on Tino's part. It was nice beginning, and says that you love to munch on a bunch of asses. There's a lot of him conceding you're a fucking faggot is polite. And then
I love the fact you're giving me these, because I haven't watched that battle in a very long time, and I absolutely love hearing these.
LAUGH-N-STALK Tino, yeah. This is Lux Calico of the Lethal Institute, man. Crazy, but
yeah, right, exactly.
People may not be aware of you as quickly as the aforementioned Jay Short, because obviously this is kind of an English-based thing, but we have listeners everywhere. But if they haven't seen you physically, the first thing that comes up in Tino, and will come up in pretty much every battle onward, is the facial hair. You're rocking the mustache, right?
Oh, I thought you were going to say the muscular definition. Yeah, I do have a mustache.
Yeah.
I do have facial hair. I inherited it from my father. People ask me when was the last time I shaved it. I say this morning every time they ask. And with it, I feel like at no point did I feel insecure about the mustache, anyone wanting to battle me, because it gives them stuff to work with. I want to have the best battle possible from my opponent. I want them to do great, because if I beat someone who chokes or says nothing, it's pointless. I did nothing.
Yeah.
So with having this facial hair, I've dealt with a lot of Ned Flanders, undercover cop, pedophile. I was called an 1800s weightlifter. Just all sorts of wonderful things people can say about me, and I don't mind it.
Yeah.
I want them to be as creative as possible, because at this point it's pretty tough. And eventually I've shaved it in past battles, and I show up to the venue and they're like, "Hey man, who are you?"
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, never fucking tried. That was a mistake." And whenever I shave it, people always ask me if I lost a bet. So I'm just, it's something I've dealt with, and it's totally fine. I don't mind. I don't want it to be like a trademark. I'm not going to have mustache merchandise. I don't mention it in my battles anymore.
Not anymore. No.
That's what stands out to people, and that's totally fine.
And
better that than buying bars. What's up?
Yeah, no. In the kind of facial hair battle rap Hall of Fame, who's there? Yourself's there, Dirtbag Dan. Are there any other? I'm trying to think off the top of my head.
I'd have.
There's not
the Hall of Fame are people. Yeah, Dan, obviously.
Yeah.
Henry Bowers, I'd say. He'd be up there. God, there aren't many people.
There aren't actually.
No,
there needs to be more. Maybe someone needs to rock like a little sort of
exactly.
soul patch.
When people because this is a big thing. Who's on battle rap Mount Rushmore? People think of the Mook, Lux, the Source, whatever. Who I'd put on the facial hair Mount Rushmore is Illmaculate, because
right.
He tries.
The 5 o'clock.
I've never met Illmac, but it seems like, when I think Illmac, I think, thinly layered but very defined sideburns, chin strap, mutton chops, something going on. So I can't imagine him completely clean shaven. So I put him up there.
No, yeah. I can see it. You, Ilmac, Dirtbag Dan, Henry Bowers. It makes sense.
God, what an ugly mountain. Well, Lord, someone bulldoze that.
You're not annoyed. This is according to Tino, who's close at the first. You're not annoyed that he's fucking your little sister. You're just mad that he got there first. And we get a recurring theme. You said you two would later gone through the wrestling bars. We have the sharpshooting like a hitman straight through Brett's heart.
Oh yeah, I get that a lot. He did it best, but I've gotten that a number of times.
And like wrestling wise, you're a big fan.
I am, yeah. I have no shame in admitting it. I'm not. No. I'm well aware that the hot thing right now is UFC and MMA, and I'm not anti-UFC or MMA. It's just that wasn't what was popular when I was 12. I didn't fall in love with that when I was a kid. So, it's cool. I understand the appeal. But I've just always been a wrestling fan, and wrestling material, something that is always translated well in battle rap. That's a safety hub for material. I remember watching, I think it was Big K versus Rosenberg Raw, and Big K had said something about, I got me this gun and the pistoli. I'll leave you in a cactus jack with a sock in his mouth, and a whole room full of, the toughest URL smack crowd screamed out Mick Foley at the top of their lungs. And I said, okay, wrestling bars can work anywhere.
Yeah. No, they are some of the most recurrent thematic motifs. And I recently, actually, should be on the YouTube channel right now, did a compilation of O'Shea's best wrestling bars. He's a big wrestling fan.
Oh, O'Shea and Shoddy are great.
Don't flop, we should say quickly, Laugh. You're a fan of the league.
Yeah.
You cover it on your show, so I'm guessing,
Oh yeah, I like Don't Flop. I don't cover Don't Flop as much as I should. Not because I'm not a big fan, simply because I have a lot more ties to King of the Dot in terms of the people I talk to and the people I interact with on a weekly basis. I would love to cover Don't Flop more. I'm on Viewpoint, and I try and make sense of everything, but I always feel a bit out of the loop. Just, I think, solely because I'm in America. The whole unanimous thing, I tried my best to cover. I was excited for the announcement of Tony D versus Troy Brown, things like that. I do enjoy Don't Flop. I just, if I could have like a British correspondent to tell me, to kind of put it in simple, stupid American terms, this happened because this happened, I'll go, that's perfect. I could talk about that on my show all day.
No, yeah. I mean, you have covered it, to be fair.
I've tried.
And you start with Tino, asking if he speaks English. He's puto with a caca face. I mean, instantly getting laughs. Instantly.
Yeah.
That must have felt quite good to have that, like, similarly to your rebuttal during the kind of, out the zoo thing. This must have felt good.
Oh yeah, it's always good to start off with set the tone right. You want to open well and you want to close well.
Yeah.
Because those are the two things people will remember. But at the same time, if you open well, people are going to expect that from you. So don't write your best shit at the beginning. Save it for the end. At least build towards something. Don't blow your wad from your first round and then go, oh, by the way, here's some stuff I wrote last night, LOL, and it doesn't go well. So yeah, opening with that laugh, and even if it was just calling him a caca, boo boo, face, whatever it was, no shame at all. Felt great.
No, and there's a winning meta-ness immediately. You say you think Tino might be Mexican. Why go there? I'm a white battle rapper. I don't care.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's white people definitely have the luck of the draw in terms of racism. Somewhat, I'm not going to start a racial issue or conversation because it's just I don't want to say anything dumb.
No. Of course, I just. Basically,
the benefit of being a white guy battling a brown guy is you can say, "Hey, Mexican. Hey, Cuban. Hey, Dominican. Hey, Puerto Rican." The world is your racist oyster.
When he smiles, it looks like a picket fence in the dark.
Yes.
Be nice.
His teeth are perfect. He has a wonderful smile. That was just something I wrote.
And more mustache stuff. You talk of your mustache having Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. It's.
I knew that was coming after my first battle. I knew. I was like, all right, well, let's do it. So.
And it's nice that at the end, you say that you saw his chick and you fist bump him. Good stuff.
Nice. I don't know if I was the first to do that. I believe I was the non sequitur into a compliment, the misleading diss. Where I was like, "You want to talk about your bitch? She's beautiful." Yeah, and it went over really well because no one had seen it yet. Very few people have seen it still. But that I knew in my heart of hearts that was going to work, and thankfully it did.
Yeah, 941 people have seen this battle. Does that bother you?
Literally hundreds of people are raving about this battle from 2011.
I mean, you aren't one necessarily to command views, even though you definitely have repute and respect. Is it something that ever bothers you? Do you feel mistreated, or are you just happy to have these online?
Oh, I'm fine with it. There are some, obviously there are battles that are subpar, be it, my performance, my opponents, the video quality, the platform, whatever it may be. There are battles of mine that are online that part of me wishes, I was like, oh, I don't want to watch this battle ever again. That have left a bit of a sour taste in my mouth, but I'm not ashamed of anything. If people sit down, if people say, I've watched all your battles, first thing I'll say is why. Second is I'm sorry, and third is thank you. I do have, I'm not the most viewed guy in the world, but I'm just happy to be at the party. I'm just happy to be at the dance.
Yeah, of course, man. And this is, you were saying earlier, you're from that sort of school of thought where when you start battling, you've got to really start battling. You've got to be very productive. Can't turn down any offers. Tino is the first of 9 battles that he did in 2012. You really put your foot on the gas when you kicked off, right?
Absolutely, and I feel like you should with anything. If you get hired as a dishwasher, wash as many dishes as you can your first week, just so you can get a feel for the job and impress those around you. And so, yeah, when I started, I just never. I still have trouble saying no, but I said yes to every offer that came my way up and down California. And I just kind of, because that's how you work out your kinks. That's how you sharpen your sword. If I have a battle every 6 weeks, at some point I'm going to fuck up and I'm going to learn what my flaws are and I'm going to learn what needs work. So I battled as much as I could for the first couple of years. Lately it's been very slim pickings, maybe twice a year I battle, but right. I thankfully, if I'd have done that in 2012, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. So
and you are you're Californian based, but are you from Texas?
No, I'm from California.
You're from California, right?
I wish I was from Texas. Is a beautiful state.
The reason I ask is just because the Texas Cloverleaf gang you always call out.
Oh, Texas Cloverleaf is a wrestling maneuver, and it's
okay.
My buddy Cypher I mentioned earlier, who's a battle rapper promoter, made a fake wrestling battle rap group with myself, him, Lex D, Tino, and DD. We were just like Texas Cloverleaf, a bunch of wrestling. It's a fake group of battlers who rap about wrestling, and it was almost a parody of. And everyone will say that they're a parody, they're mimicking, they're mocking, but we were just seriously 5 guys who liked wrestling. So we're like, Texas Cloverleaf, the 4 Mexicans and a white guy.
The first time I heard about this was when I watched this battle. It's obviously a battle against Cadalack Ron.
But what if he does show up and does nothing to spit ether? I said, I'm not going to lose to a fake Mexican crypt keeper. Shit, even standing next to me, you look like a sick tweaker. I might look like Doug Funny, but your chick says I'm a skeeter.
Yeah.
Obviously, Cadalack Ron, rest in peace.
God. I miss that man all the time. Very, very wonderful man.
Yeah. It's the outpouring afterwards has just been nothing but, everyone has such love for the guy. It's, such a great shame. And you battling him, this seems like, you'd only been battling here. Quite a good opportunity. Very good of him to sort of, allow it to happen in a way.
Oh, I was a nobody at that point. I had seriously battled, I had I don't know how many battles, could have been more than 10, but no views. And he was on the comeback trail. He was on a big. He was very sober and clear-minded and determined. And he, Power and Respect, the league I've battled out of in Central California, I've battled for them over a dozen times. They reached out to him and they thought I would be a good opponent. He battled me. I have no shame in saying that he was paid. I pulled money out of my pocket, but he battled for much less than he had to, than he should have for a guy of my stature, and he was great. I was giddy. I was giddy to get the chance to battle Cadalack Ron at that point, and I was very excited. I was very nervous in my performance. It's definitely my most shaky performance I've had in a long time, just because you're Ron. I was clearly had a bit of a fanboy in my performance, but it was worth it because I met him. He and I became friends, and it was just, it was great. Who doesn't love? If you're a battler and you don't have any excitement about battling someone like a Cadalack Ron, then you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, no, entirely. And the writing is terrific in this. But before we get into it, you say at the start of the battle that you're probably going to burp a lot because of an ulcer. That's an unfortunate situation.
I do, yeah. I got I want to say, I don't know if it was Jeffrey Dahmer. Some famous serial killer has the same thing I do. It's a peptic ulcer that you get with nerves, where when I get nervous, I burp. So during his performance, I burp. I burped during his rounds, my rounds, and at one point in the battle, he stops and goes, "You burping like a motherfucker." It was awful and embarrassing.
Well, you open one of your rounds with a huge burp, don't you?
I'm sure I do.
Yeah, I think it's
that's one of those things where I have trouble watching it back, just because not only because of my performance, but because I miss Ron. So I haven't watched it in a long time, but I know that was a very burp-heavy round. Yeah,
and it's just an interesting thing to happen in a battle. It's one of these kind of, again, this battle isn't necessarily the most viewed battle, in spite of having Cadalack Ron on there. It's only got 4,000 views, but I guess that's kind of power and respect. But if you're listening, even before we dive into this, check this battle out. It's a fantastic battle on both sides, and it kind of has, is it fair to say, the environment that you battle in, it's kind of like a sort of cafeteria after school club kind of vibe?
Oh yeah, that atmosphere has to this day almost a running joke in the local area. That was from Power and Respect, which is a league that I support and have worked with more than anything in battle rap. They've held events in venues, in backyards, just basically anywhere we can create an atmosphere. That happened to be at a pizza place called Pirate Pizza.
Yeah.
Where there were children in the background playing arcades. There were families who were watching the news, on a nearby television. So it wasn't the most conducive atmosphere for two grown men talking about AIDS very loudly on a stage. But so, yeah, it wasn't the best atmosphere for either of us. But at the same time, that's a better story, and there are a lot of people who can say they battled Ron, and I can say, well, I battled Ron at a pizza place with children nearby, so I got, fuck you, I got that. And
yeah, Ron mentions it in one of his later rounds. We'll get into that. And yeah, you know, on the actual video itself, something that I've noticed watching all your battles, Laugh, is the you comment on your battles. You know, it's clearly you, the avatar's you. You're not kind of, you know, being a troll or anything. You're sort of talking about the battle. You say on this battle, for example, very quickly, shouts out to Ron for taking this battle, slap some burp on deck like a slap burp boat. But I mean, what's I'm just interested in is that sense of interaction, that sense of being online, even before weekly battle feed, which we'll touch on at the end. Was there this kind of, you wanted to exist digitally, or?
I just enjoy communal interaction. I've always, you know, everyone, if you're in any subculture, in any group of a massive fan base, I like to be as interactive as possible. But yeah, before weekly battle feed, you know, I'm sure you can find some on most of my battles where someone says, that mustache faggot is gay and dumb and stupid, and I'll say like, well, I hope you're having a great day, sir. You know, it's just, I like to put myself out there, because if I don't win you over, that's totally fine. I'm not supposed to win over everybody. But if I do, I want to be as appreciative and vocal as possible. It's like, don't think I'm just some jerk off who battled Ron because he was bored and didn't care about the end result. You know, I like the fact people were entertained, and I enjoy the fact people have nice or mean things to say. If you want to say mean things, go to town.
Mm-hmm. I can't imagine how they could legitimately say mean things about this one. You begin the first talking about how Ron looks like a fake Mexican crypt keeper, which is quite an interesting comparison. Might look like Doug Funny, but your chick says I'm a skeeter. Much like wrestling bars, Nicktoon bars are something that I have a lot of time for.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's something that I think spans, you know, or at least the primary battle rap age. I want to say it's mostly people from 25 to 30, maybe 25.
Yeah.
Late 20s, early 30s. You'll get a good Doug Funny Skeeter reference.
I want to shout out a sort of more minor battle. He battles an I battle. I've had him on the show, good friend of the show. Probably the master of Nicktoon bars. Are you aware of Dago Davalo?
I am not, no.
Wow, I need to send you that guy. He's incredible.
Please link me. Anyone that I can get Nicktoon bars out of, I would.
Oh my God.
Greatly appreciate.
You know, comes up in this battle talking about yourself as Battle Rap's Mitch Hedberg. I've noticed you've sort of given him a birthday shout out in Weekly Battlefield. Are you a big fan of his?
Oh, absolutely. I love Mitch Hedberg. He again is one of those just dry humorists that really resonate. You either get it or you don't. And I hate that phrase where you don't get it with the quotation marks. But Mitch was one of those guys where, you know, you either understand the brilliance and the genius, or he just doesn't make you laugh at all. And I thought he was a genius. So, you know, I really, I was just a fan. There's no metaphorical insight into that. It's just, I was a big fan.
But he kind of, I mean, for want of a better word, he kind of has bars. Like, in a way, like, you could kind of imagine someone, like, retooling some of his jokes quite effectively.
He really did, yeah. He the way he wrote his jokes did almost have a bit of a subtle double entendre wordplay to a lot of them. Like, you know, my girlfriend works at Hooters in the kitchen. You know, it's like that. You could very easily take that and turn it into a bar.
Yeah, they had, I'm just quoting one. This isn't really necessarily wordplay, but it's one that I always remember that I really loved of his. I want to hang a map of the world in my house, and I'm going to put pins into all the locations that I've traveled to. But first, I'm going to have to travel to the top two corners of the map.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is very out there. Like, I used to love that as a kid. I remember hearing that quite young, and it was just such a kind of, I don't know, it was very inventive.
Oh, yeah, no, he was definitely one of a kind. You know, there are one-liner comedians like Stephen Wright, and you know, there's other people that do that shtick, but he just had kind of this cult appeal to him, and he blazed the trail in a shorter amount of time than most comedians have over, you know, 20, 30 years, which is, you know, even though I said it to Ron as a diss, I feel the same way about Ron. You know, he had the battle rap spotlight on him for, you know, X amount of years, and people are going to talk about Ron a lot longer after, you know, in 5 years from now, 5 years from now than they will whoever's popular right now.
And in the description, it's teased. The description says to this battle, have you ever seen a man get slapped in the face for a handful of hand sanitizer? No. Then watch this battle. And this is how the first round kicks off very unusually. Once a girl from the audience is slapped in the face, he picks one out. She goes pretty hard. Joe Cutter applauds. A pretty surreal moment.
I love any battle rap scenario that ends with Joe Cutter applauding is a great moment. Yeah, but I think, you know, because I saw Ron when he performed a live show, and he did that for his musical shows too, or rap shows. Musical shows sounds like he's on fucking Broadway. No, he just did a rap show, but yeah, at that time he would do this thing where he would ask any girls in the audience to slap him in the face with hand sanitizer. I don't know if that's I don't know the context of it. I'm sure there's some meaning to it that someone more well versed can tell me about. But yeah, before the battle, unbeknownst to anybody in the venue, he pulled out hand sanitizer, asked a wonderful young girl named Angie to slap him in the face. And I think that what better way to start a battle than chemical assault? Am I right?
You're not wrong. And, you know, he talks about you paying him for the battle. You know, he questions what the battle really proves. Kid in a fairy tale, name will never climb stalk. You'd sell your asshole for magic beans.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I did. That's why it's 100% true. Facts, as kids like to say these days.
And your name, we should say, sorry, obviously, because there are a lot of a lot of name flips. LAUGH-N-STALK is the name. LAUGH-N-STALK.
Yes, I
works well. You know, it's kind of Mitch Hedbergian in the kind of double.
Yeah, as I said earlier, you know, I was a big, you know, I like the thesaurus, and I like the idea of having your name be wordplay. I think your name is a good representation of your style or who you are as a performer. So, and growing up, I was always told I was funny and creepy. So I just figured laugh and stalk. Oh, laughing and stalking, that works. Laughing stock, people laugh at me, that's fine too. I got laughs in stock, like I have laughs on deck. Like, okay, there we go. So yeah, it was either that or, you know, B Money, but I have a strange feeling that's been taken by 20 million people already.
And in your second, because I must admit that Cadalack Ron I'm familiar with, but his whole kind of career, I need to do a bit more research. You discussed that he was Grind Time GM for the West Division, was he?
Yes, actually he was. This goes way back.
Yeah.
He at one point did have booking power on the West Coast side of Grind Time. Lush took a step back. I don't know if it was him and Absurd. Assault and Battling, which Absurd was in charge of, was almost a developmental league for Grind Time West Coast. So Caddy Ron definitely had booking. If you ever watch, I think it might have been Disaster Caustic, Ron's the host, and he says, like, oh yeah, we're just like an upstart league, right? Okay, we see you. You know, he did have booking power for a while, but that didn't last very long.
Because of what? I mean, was it just the kind of events didn't go well?
It was just a strange transitional period in Grind Time. I remember trying to get in, and you know, every time I'd ask, every few months, a new person seemed to be in charge for whatever reason. It was this time where Grind Time West Coast was Lush. It didn't have complete control anymore, and it wasn't like the Battle of the Bay days. So things were a bit askew, things were a bit amiss, and they tried to give the reins to a few different people, and for whatever reason it just didn't really work out until King of the Dot and Lush took over the West Coast. So there was like a 3-year period where Ron was in charge. It was just an influx.
A little, majority of the second is kind of a vehicular car scheme. For every line that's spoke, there's 100 more like it.
Which is awful, by the way. Let me tell you, I want to take credit as the person who I'd like to think I'm the person who put the death nail in car part wordplay versus Cadalack Ron, because I did like a minute of it, and it was just bad, generic shit. And so I'd like to think after I did it, hopefully no one else did it, because I drilled it into the ground as much as I could. You
top it off with a kind of, I just broke down a Cadillac.
Yeah, of course I did. Why wouldn't I? Yeah, no, that's what it called for. It's, oh God, it's I cringe at that shit, but at the same time, I'm very proud of it. I'm proud of my worst shit. Because I know where it meant something at the time. So, yeah, man, catalytic converter, motor, exhaust pipe shit.
Right. Sort of Caddy flips the whole, you call him a tranny. He believes a politically correct term's hermaphrodite. He does, like, he oozed personality, didn't he? He could just, not that he couldn't write, but he's kind of like an O'Shea in that sense that he was so likable on stage.
Oh yeah, Ron could swag his way through 3 solid rounds of whatever he wanted to write and make you think he destroyed the guy. He was one of the most least boring people. And I think one thing about the West Coast, which I really like, is West Coast America, is we have a lot of very colorful characters.
Right.
There is a point where I think Canada was pumping out and what I call the create a battler. It's just kind of white guy wearing an Echo Fit and a hat, and they're rapping. Whereas the West Coast, you had cartoon characters like Ron and Lush and Joe Cutter and Disaster, just big, bold, bright colors on stage. And Ron was definitely one of those dudes. A lot of people can write, but very few people can be unique. And Ron was the most unique person you'll have ever met.
Yeah, and I love this battle in terms of just the vibe it has between the two of you. Like, there isn't much of a, real crowd interaction in Pirate Pizza so much as, somebody actually interrupts you in the third and you tell them to shut up. They shout out Richard Pryor for some reason, but regardless, it goes really well. And Cadalack in his second, talking about how you hate your pops, get you in the attic locked and beat your ass with bags of rocks and master locks, which I really like. And then, sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say, at one point, and it's totally okay to do this because it's Ron, and he got away, he could do whatever he wanted. But at one point, he said he'd smoke crack with Jesus Christ in the afterlife. And then I went to go see him perform a set in Fresno with Dirtbag Dan, and he was rapping a song. Yeah. And I was like, I understand this rhyme scheme. And then he finishes it with, oh, I hope you can't hear that crying child in the background. It's not mine, by the way. But at some point he goes, smoke crack with Jesus Christ. And I'm like, in the afterlife, I know these bars. So I told him afterwards, I was like, you used that line in our battle. And he just goes, I did. And I was like, that's perfect. That's totally cool.
This is the third round, your round, where the burp comes in hard. You sort of compare him, he's a big shark in a trout pool. Treat this league like the majors. We all know you hate free strikes and your out rules. Pretty nice. Yeah. Kind of a baseball kind of scheme. It's well done.
Oh yeah. It's very. I tried to, everyone there knew who Ron was. Yeah. But I still wanted to drive home the fact, hey, this guy's named after a car, and also he's a drug addict criminal. By the way, in case you didn't know, here's my material. So it was very obvious material, but I tried to put my own spin on it.
Yeah, and how could anyone trust you with your face? Is how he opens his third. The type to post on Craigslist and ask me to fuck my wife. You apparently collect baby cum, which the crowd rock with it, but it's pretty far.
Yeah. At one point, that's the entire line is, you collect baby cum, and then he pauses and he goes, yeah, baby cum, and the whole audience, myself included, is just like, oh god, that's disgusting and amazing.
It's like but it's a kind of great attitude, and people understand where he's going with it, and a little Star Wars element as well. Boba Fett, Han Solo, ref Millennium Falcon.
Oh yeah, did he?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That surprised me actually. I didn't count him as much of a kind of a Lucas advocate, but there you go.
Yeah, he surprised. Like the first conversation I ever had with him, he was talking about he was singing like a Lindsay Lohan song, something you would never expect Ron to sing, and I was like, hey man, that's a good song. He's like, yeah, I listen to that song like 5 times a day lately. And I was like, all right, cool. Good to know. You are a man of many facets.
And then after this, I mean, you said like a friendship began. So you guys just were in contact a little bit. Did you like phone or text or?
Oh yeah, no, we texted right after the battle is when we kept in most communication with each other. And hopefully this won't throw off your method of this interview, but it does segue into my Toxed Khemic battle because...
Segue away, please.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, after the battle, he and I would text and just kind of chat, see who you battling next, how you doing in life. I come from a family of addicts, and he and I would talk about NA and just sobriety, because my contact with Ron when we were friends, the majority of which he was completely dead sober, which was great because I got the most vivid insight I could get from him. Yeah. So we would text once in a while, go over our material with each other. And when he came to Fresno to do just a show with Dirtbag Dan, he asked me, he's like, you got hit up by King of the Dot yet? And I was like, no, not yet. And he goes, all right. So he pulled out his phone, texted Malathion or whoever, and said, my boy LAUGH-N-STALK, get him a battle. And it's because of him. Joe, first, I should mention also, the reason Ron battled me is because Joe Cutter saw me battle, and Joe Cutter co-signed me. So because of Joe Cutter and Cadalack Ron, I got my foot in the door of King of the Dot. And so they stuck their hand out and bent over backwards for me to get my King of the Dot tryout against this kid named Toxed Khemic. Yeah. Toxed Khemic. And I linked you to this story, but I'll tell it again.
Yeah, please.
I was writing for Toxed Khemic, and he was writing for, I forget who he was writing for, maybe Reverse Live at the time. And I told him I had this rhyme scheme with his name, Toxed Khemic. Your mom's a dentist, blah, blah. And he goes, hey, you should tell him you work in Caddy's meth lab as Ron's apprentice. Because battle rappers love to hear their name. Good context, bad context. They get off on that. Mm-hmm. So I was like, that's great. I'm definitely going to use that. I get to the venue for my Toxed Khemic's King of the Dot tryout, and Ron's there. I didn't know he was going to be there. He didn't tell me. I don't think he planned on it, but he showed up, and he goes up, and we chat for a bit, and he goes, hey, man, I don't play favorites. And I said, cool, good to know. I have no idea what that means, but all right, sweet. And he is a judge for my battle. It was back when they judged battles. So I do my round, and he's heard all three of my rounds at this point. And so I go over my material. He laughs at the appropriate places. It seems super fucking fixed now when I tell this story. It just seems like it was rigged from the get-go. And so I do the line. I'm like, you work in Caddy's meth lab as Ron's apprentice, point at him on stage. People are like, hey, Ron's here. Ha, 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 meth. And he's laughing over my stuff. And at the end, he, very subtly, he doesn't expose that he and I are friends. He just goes like, LAUGH-N-STALK. Good to see him doing his thing. 3-0. I was like, all right, cool. Way to play along, Ron.
You had the time god himself, Malathion. Is that Malathion? Malathion?
Malathion, yeah.
Malathion.
But I am in love with your accent. Malathion works perfectly.
Malathion, he sounds like a sort of Aragorn's uncle or something.
Absolutely, yeah. He sounds like a biblical figure.
Yeah, so even Dragon Age or something.
Right.
He's interviewing you. You're rocking the sunglasses indoors. You're in a Cadalack Ron. It's
very douchey move. I've yet to do that since. I regret doing it then. People who wear sunglasses inside are fucking assholes, or they're hungover and trying to hide it.
I don't know why it bothers me so much. They're just wearing a bit of clothing, but something inside me riles me. I don't know what it is, but yeah, it can look douchey quite a lot, especially in like a dark venue as well. It's just kind of like, come on, if the lights on, it's just kind of ridiculous.
It was not needed at all. A bit, and I'm wearing a hat. I've never worn a hat in any other battle. I don't wear hats. I look awful in hats. Something about a big reason for my mustache is I try and hide as much of my face as possible, and I can't grow a beard because I'm Native American.
Right.
So I grow a mustache because that's all I can grow. And then I knew, all right, this is probably going to be my most viewed battle. I'm going to wear a hat, cover my hairline, wear glasses, cover my eyes. The less you see of me, the better. So I just kind of tried to, and accidentally end up looking like an even creepier weirdo than I normally do. So and I haven't done either of those since.
And Toxed Khemic, like Tino before him, is another one of these people who has battled a hell of a lot. He actually seemed to have like a 2-year break. He battled about a month after you battled a guy called LAUGH on Casual Conflicts. Then he was away for 2 years. Yeah. But he's got 23 battles, 80,000 views altogether. So he's another kind of journeyman, isn't he? And was he someone you're excited to face, or was it more like, oh shit, I actually have a chance to get on King of the Dot?
You have the charisma of a chess club president. I bet you and all your homies have matching best bud necklaces. If we're going bar for bar, then you can't keep up with my sentences. When I break them down to particles, you can tell me who the chemist is.
The King of the Dot opportunity took precedent over, they could have said, hey, we're going to have you battle a bottle of vitamin water. I'd have been like, oh, that vitamin water is getting 3 eggs. So they told me Toxed Khemic. I looked him up. You know, I saw he's Mexican. I'm good. I'm good with that. He has braces. Fun. He's short. Cool. You know, Toxed Khemic is a guy, very nice guy. And in our battle, he freestyles like it's nothing in between his riddens, which is crazy impressive to this day. But I was like, all right, cool. This is something I could work with. If you gave me someone a bit more generic, I'd have a bit of a tougher time. So I was excited to battle him just because I knew I knew writer's block wasn't going to be an issue. So that was cool.
Right. And, you know, you begin by basically saying that, you know, going into how kind of this battle's just for me to sell immunity. You want to beat me, but you haven't even beaten puberty. When I'm breaking down to the particles, you can tell me who the chemist is. Like, quite nice. Like, you know, you seem to delight, as I've said, in the wordplay. What is the writing process for you? Are you very much a pen and pad man? Do you walk around? Do you pace? Do you brainstorm? Or
basically, what I do is I'll sit down and force myself to write. You know, I'll open up a text document on a computer, and it's kind of like how I write my show now, where I'll make bullet points of topics. You know, this, and this, and then I'll try and work within those structures. Oftentimes when I'm at work or on my day-to-day, if something comes in my head, I think a lot of battlers do this or should do this. I email something I think of to myself. So when I sit down on my computer to actually write, I open up my inbox and I have all these little punchlines I've emailed myself from the past month. So I'm like, oh, I have this, and this stuff to pull from. So basically, it's either bits and pieces come naturally, or I will force myself to cram out 3 minutes of material in one afternoon.
Yeah, interesting. And, you know, can you do that? 3 minutes of material in one afternoon, that is a huge duress on mental ability.
I can. It's awful. It's not fun. Battle... You know, Nakaya, the promoter out here in America.
We've had him on the show, actually. He's a great guy.
Oh, yeah. Even better. Yeah, he obviously, something he said at the Back to Basements event is, this is battling, this is not fun, which is hilarious as it is. But a lot of it isn't fun. You know, memorizing is not fun. No. Writer's block is not fun. Performing and getting reaction is amazing and is great, and I absolutely love it. But a lot of it does feel like homework. When you're just really not.
Is that the memorization part as well? Is that a big?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. You got to find, you know, spare time, because another thing about the memorization process is when you write something, you'll think, oh, this is amazing, this is great, and then when you repeat it to yourself 80 times, you go, maybe this isn't great. Maybe I'm so sick of this line. Maybe it's not good anymore. So you start to second guess yourself and doubt yourself a lot, and it's just such a painstaking task. But the creative process is fun. Yes,
yeah, and of course, and getting the reaction and, you know, the adulation and, you know, whatever, just getting recognised, I suppose, for your ability is always a great thing. And this battle's full of good lines on your part. Tox, you know, not bad. Is first. You've been jacking off to massive cocks on Match.com. So, you know.
Oh yeah, and that's a dear friend of mine, Madflex. He recently battled Aftershock.
I love Madflex, man. I mean, he did my boy E. Farrell dirty. It was hard to watch.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
He's one of, you know, the best writers in battle rap, and I was so excited to find out he was battling Aftershock, because Aftershock rhymes with LAUGH-N-STALK, and I thought I had heard it all. You know. Grab a Glock, Macintosh, jacking off, massive cock, you know, grab a cock, laughing cock. And I knew when Madflex was battling Aftershock, I was like, cool, I'm going to hear new stuff that rhymes with my name, finally. So that was cool.
Yeah. And were there any? Can you remember any interesting lines?
I know there was. Yeah. He did this against Megadeth. He does this all the fucking time, where his whole first round will rhyme his opponent's name with the entire round. Right. So I'm sure there's a solid 2 minutes of new LAUGH-N-STALK rhymes that people can't use anymore, which is great, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, in a dog pound, you know, he continues, "You be the biggest bitch in the room."
Most likely, yeah. I agree with that.
He says, forgive me if I'm pronouncing this wrong, just a name didn't ring a bell, but he got a good reaction, so it's probably worth saying. Dale Gribble?
There's an American cartoon called King of the Hill.
Oh, where, okay, yeah.
Yeah, Dale Gribble is, and I walked right in this. Dale Gribble is just a kind of a scrawny white guy who in the program wears a fucking hat and sunglasses inside. and which is exactly who I look like during our battle. So I walked right into that one. I love King of the Hill. I've mentioned it in past performances, and he knocked that comparison out of the park.
Mm-hmm. I love elements of your second, the whole immerse myself in your language and hope that I'd have a nice advantage, converted my whole life to Catholic, even tried to write in Spanish. Then I realized for the opponent I've been handed, you can literally watch this battle and see his panic.
Yeah, that was a wordplay that I didn't get. It's one of those lines. Another thing when you write is you have the stuff that you think is going to get great reaction and the stuff that isn't, and it's always completely opposite. The stuff that you think is going to get reaction doesn't, and your weird little throwaways you don't think twice about does. Mm-hmm. That was a line where I was like, all right, this is some good wordplay. Yeah. People are going to love this. It didn't get the reaction I wanted, but I'm glad that, Tom from BattleRapresume has noticed it. It feels like vindication, 4 years later.
Good. I love that line. Lots of kind of anti-Mexican stuff throughout this round. You say that his biggest fan is the Chupacabra, which is quite funny. Just lots of funny stuff throughout. And his second was just kind of, I don't know, he kind of goes for all angles here. Ask if you could freestyle, and you said Zig Heil. Kind of his greatest stuff. Kind of, he kind of rocks the crowd to a certain extent. And you go into the further sort of, dare to be different, like Arabic women treated fair for religion. Pretty nice. And I love the ice cream truck, make a living in the summer out here serving kids.
Yeah,
great shit.
Thank you. That's another line that I was hoping would get some noise, but it didn't, which is totally fine because that crowd was still great, and that crowd still gave me a lot of positive feedback. So even though there were lines like that I enjoyed more than the crowd might have, it still went over really well.
Yeah, totally. And you saying positive feedback, it's surprising the judging in this one. El Capitan, I think, living that tiger life he begins. Frio Body Bag, he says that Tox was fucking terrible.
That was awful.
Yeah.
We all felt so bad for him. Yeah, the first judge goes 3-0, laughing stock guy. The other dude was terrible. And everyone in the room was like, oh, man. Why do you have to keep it so 100 right now?
Yeah, Caddy.
I thought he did. I didn't think he was terrible, but, nobody wants to hear that, especially after their first King of the Dot battle.
Yeah, and Caddy gives it you, and then Avo gives it you as well. And Avo says, because it seems like a very kind-hearted man, that the other guy wasn't so bad in his eyes. But, you take it nonetheless. And King of the Dot, was this something that you've been watching a lot? Is this kind of almost your domestic league in a certain sense?
At that point, the American colonization of King of the Dot was still in its infancy. They had just, been booking California events probably within that year, so it was still very new. But it was well aware to all the battlers that this is what's taking over what Grind Time used to do. This is going to be the platform within driving distance all of us should aim for. So I knew, my West Coast King of the Dot debut had to be my best performance yet, because that will determine whether or not I get any bigger, better matches in the future. Mm-hmm. So I definitely knew it was a big deal for me, and I tried to take it as seriously as possible.
And coming into the next battle, a very underviewed battle. This is below 1K, even though it's a new battle in the mighty Carter Deems.
Yes.
No Way Out. Is this what is this organization? Freestyle tournaments? Is that right?
All right. Yeah. So just real quick, I'll go on to the Cartoon thing. The Avocado judging my battle, against Toxed Khemic was the first time I had met Avocado in real life. He and I had talked a lot on rapmusic.com for a couple years before, but that was the first time I had met him, which has obviously blossomed into a beautiful relationship. But the Carter Deems battle, it was for a league called Assault and Battling, which I mentioned before. Carter moved to Fresno, where I live and was raised, and he and I became, and still are, dear friends. And so he just wanted to battle. He just was, he wanted to battle in California while he was there. And so he accepted a battle for Assault and Battling for their No Way Out event.
Yeah.
And his opponent didn't show up. So and a lot of people's opponents didn't show up. The main event to that event was SM versus both QPs at the same time, which is an awful clusterfuck. And by the awful, I mean amazing.
Right.
So they had a freestyle tournament to kind of fill the void of all the battles that weren't happening. And Carter entered because he loves battle rap. And I didn't want to enter, but they said, if you enter the freestyle tournament, you don't have to pay the fee at the door to get in. And I said, all right, sign me up. Let's do it.
This is not a freestyle. Nope. I didn't plan it. You're the best on the planet. You're the best in the world. You are a tough man. I'm just a little girl. You know that I'm built like an ocean tank.
So I signed up. He and I battled 2 people beforehand. It was a freestyle tournament. And so he and I won our first 2 battles. And then the main event came down to he and I. And people had wanted Carter and I to battle since he moved there. We'd been hit up by multiple leagues. But he and I had become friends so quickly, we didn't really want to.
Yeah.
So unbeknownst to that poor, unfortunate crowd, the finals to the freestyle tournament were 2 dudes complimenting each other.
Yeah.
Saying sweet things. And so he and I...
Is he one of your biggest friends who's a battler, like your closest friend?
I'd say Carter is one of my absolute best friends in this world.
Right.
SM, he and I are always going to be associated. He's on to come up big time right now. He and I, because we've come up together. I like to say there's a graduating class of West Coast MCs. Myself, SM, guys like Lex D, Psychosis, Madflex.
Right.
Madflex is a dear friend of mine. The last 2 bunker events, I've gotten really close to E. Farrell and Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Those are my brothers from the East Coast. Joe Cutter, obviously, has had my back since day one. Ron, we've discussed at length.
Of course.
I have a lot of dear friends, my Texas Cloverleaf boys. But yeah, I'd say, if I had to pin it, I'd say everyone, all 20 people I just listed are near and dear to my heart.
It's great to hear you on beat in this. Carter too, not a Little Wayne album, I'm just saying, Carter as well. Did you, amongst practice at this, had you made music? Had you freestyle just for fun at home? Or?
Never music.
Right.
Never will. I don't have a story to tell. Most music, local scenes are oversaturated with rappers pumping shitty mixtape anyways. Yeah. They don't need another one, and I'm not going to contribute. And I don't have the artistic integrity to share my life story on wax. I do have the artistic integrity to say fart jokes on stage and make people laugh. I'll do that all the time. So no, I no music. I freestyled in the past. I've done some on-beat battles, but that was the first time there's actually a bit of a spotlight because it was me and Carter and it was being filmed. So it was definitely a bit more special.
And it does have that complimentary edge, as you were saying. Carter begins. He wants you to be your best man and his wife. Don't want to fight you. Want to stroke my hair and read me a haiku. It's nice shit, really nice shit. And then you kind of go back and forth there. You met on OkCupid. He's your best friend. You can't be mean. Can I bring a wedding ring? You don't want to swing. What size do you wear? Probably big. It's
It's thinly veiled gay remarks. Which,
of course, that's battle rap.
He and I were having a blast with. We knew we were making everybody in the room a bit uncomfortable, and we knew we weren't giving them exactly what they wanted. But we were laughing and having a good time, and that was worth it.
I like that he asked in a second. Remember when we celebrated Earth Day?
Oh my God, that's hilarious! Yeah,
did you actually?
We did celebrate Earth Day. I forgot what we did.
Nice.
But I remember us hanging out and him pointing out it was Earth Day, and
right.
Like, oh, that's wonderful! Another holiday because we spent New Year's together and stuff. So it was another holiday.
And then Carter he has that sort of patented wordplay, the Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball C, just great stuff. And then this freestyle element, is this something that you're growing more comfortable in as you're getting more seasoned, or is it always going to be something on the periphery of your kind of online resume?
I think freestyling at this point in the battle rap culture is almost a niche special thing. It's not. That used to be what battling was, 100% on beat freestyles. And now it's in 2016, I think freestyles are very special and could be used as a special attraction. Definitely nothing to base a company or an event around.
No.
But I think the idea of having a structured written battle event, oh, by the way, here's a freestyle thing we're doing as well, is like, it's almost like a nice little garnish on what the scene has become. Yes, it's written. Yes, the beat's gone. It's very refined. It's much more well written. But freestyling will always, have its own little niche in battle rap where it's enticing to people because it has the spontaneousness that writing 3 months in advance doesn't have. And in almost all my battles, I do flip. I try and rebuttal. I enjoy freestyling. But it is something I've grown more comfortable with. The thing about freestyling is if you don't do it, you get rusty and you suck and you are not good at it. I tried to freestyle last week, having not done it in 6 months, and I was awful, and I was just embarrassed at myself. And I said, all right, I got to start doing this more often so I don't hate myself.
I know what you mean though. Like sometimes when I've gone back and watched, say, the WRCs and Scribble Jam and stuff, there is a raw element to the watch that is just missing from today's battle rap for the most part. Like it just feels kind of slightly more, rootsy, which is why I really like it. But we'll go to the next battle with, your patron, as you were saying, Joe Cutter. For people listening who might not be aware of Joe Cutter, how would you kind of describe him as an entity in battle rap?
Oh, Joe Cutter he's a nomad. He is just a journeyman. He comes from the Thunder Hut, a really core group of San Jose rappers, not battlers, just rap lyricists. So he has street cred, he has the resume, he has credentials to definitely earn his keep in the battle community, and he loves battle rap as much as anybody. He'll write a 20-minute round for an opponent that hasn't been confirmed yet.
Wow.
He's a sweet guy, wonderful guy. He lives for the art and is very passionate about it. He's very, and again, like Ron, one of the least boring people you can watch or meet. So he definitely has that to him, and I think that appeal is not the most common. So guys like Joe Cutter are great for the scene.
And we should say this is Battle of the Zay, Dirtbag Dan hosting, Lush kicking it as well. They're pretty cool to battle in this environment, I guess.
Oh yeah, I was booked for Battle of the Zay 2 against a gentleman named Paranormal Isaac. This was a few years prior, and literally every battler showed up to the venue except my opponent, so I didn't battle. But a couple years later, I ended up battling Joe. I'd always wanted to battle on Battle of the Zay, and again, like I was saying earlier, I don't always accomplish being different as much as I try, or being a bit just off kilter than most traditional battle rap cliches. But the idea he and I agreed to going into it, which I was really proud of, and I think more people should do, was our first round was themed, our second round was themed, and our third round was kind of themed. But we didn't announce it to anybody. We didn't tell anyone what the themes were. It was something special and different we had planned going into it. So we agreed to our first round being cartoon bars, our second round being guilty pleasure music material, and the third round, if people weren't happy with the first two, if they didn't understand any of the obscure references, was just going to be straight up here's rap battling, unlimited time. I think we both went about 5-6 minutes, so they got a full battle's worth of regular battle material.
Rap game Tommy Pickles, I always have the tool when I need it. And if I'm feeling, I always have the tool when I need it. And if I'm feeling a little like Chucky, I could cut you to pieces.
So it's like, here's something different. Here's something a bit more spontaneous that you weren't expecting. And if it didn't make you happy, here's traditional battle rap stuff. Hopefully you like it.
Yeah, no, I love the idea. Obviously, it's not in the YouTube title itself. It doesn't even say like theme battle, in asterisks or some shit like that. It's just like kind of, it is a surprise.
Oh, yeah.
Dirtbag Dan's reading out the themes as we go, so we're kind of hearing them, in the heat of the moment. And it is interesting. Definitely kind of lends a little bit of a challenge to your pen, and I wish people do it more. I know Psychosis Holocaust, who was kind of a sort of cult don't flop rapper, had him on the show.
Oh, he's great with the movie lines.
That's right, yeah. He did the movie thing with Matt.
He's the one who battled Madness and did the movie line bars.
That's right.
He's great.
Yeah, no, he's sensational, and him and Flex Digital on the show, that was a great episode. And yeah, the cartoon bars. So you kick it off, and with quite an accurate comparison, saying Joe Cutter looks like Otto from The Simpsons.
Yes.
Which I feel, I mean, you know, I was listening very closely to this round, and I've got a lot of notes, but I'm sure there's many things I missed. One of the things that I liked was the old copy of the Legends Before You, This Clone's High.
Yes, that was a reference to a very obscure cartoon called Clone High. Right? Was that very few people watched when it was on the air, but and it's a Canadian show, so I was hoping the King of the Dot nerds would love it. But yeah, the more obscure, the better.
Modern Life, snorting that rock-o, hiding behind a bitch that's a heifer.
Yeah, Rocco's Modern Life. You know, it's
love that show.
Tunes. Yeah, legendary. That is that's one of my favorite cartoons of all time.
Have you ever dropped a what was it? You know, remember the Real Monsters? Have you ever dropped any of those bars?
I have. You know what? I have so many throwaways from that round because I wanted, I wanted to talk about everything. I did have a Real Monster. It was you know, something about Ickis, Oblina, and Crumb wordplay. Obviously, just going into obvious territory. I did have some Real Monster bars in there. Cat Dog. I think I ended up using Angry Beavers and stuff. But yeah, that was definitely, you know, so many lines I wanted to make the cut didn't, and Real Monsters was one of them.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed there wasn't any Hey Arnold shit, but I mean, you know, you can't always get what you want.
Which there should have been. I mean, when the main character is called Football Head, you can do a world with that.
Yeah, that's true. Crude, unfunny shit that's drawn together.
Oh yeah, because Drawn Together was a very unfunny cartoon.
Yeah, that was effortless. That line, that was like a B Magic line. Like I just it kind of took my breath away a little bit. Just it was like, and then something that I have heard before, specifically from Danny Jack. I don't know if you're aware of Danny Jack, the Don't Flop.
I've heard, I'm somewhat familiar with Danny Jack.
Yeah, and he battled Jay Dillon at this park event, and he had a sort of, if I feel Lil, you know, in a pickle, Chucky, if I feel like Chucky, I could cut you to pieces, that kind of thing. But I mean, you know, Rugrats again, great cartoon, great to see the bars there. Love that you quote Recess as well. Someone tell King Bob that 6th grade is over. I love Recess.
Yeah, see, guys like you are the audience I was aiming for. Yeah. You know, I assume you're roughly my age, so you understand the references to the same cartoons we all grew up watching. So, you know, and Joe Cutter's a bit older than me, so he had some 80s Thundercats stuff going on. And I was like, this is perfect. You know, he's appealing to the, you know, one demographic, and hopefully I'm appealing to the other. If people watch this battle, there's got to be a reference that somebody understands if they're 18 or 38, you know.
It was. The magic school bus tried to fly into his veins. This Broad's old man is Hans Mole Man, never seen without the cane. Yeah,
I love The Simpsons. I feel like a Simpson bar battle is long overdue.
Yeah, Minnesota Luke did like a 20-minute compilation of like best Simpson bars.
Really?
Yeah. It's worth checking out, man. There's a lot of them. But shout out The Simpsons, of course. Joe Cutter.
No, fuck Minnesota Luke. He's awful.
Really?
No, not at all. I love Minnesota Luke to death. I have a very playful camaraderie with Luke and Battle Rap Chris, where they're both absolutely wonderful gentlemen. I love them both to death. But on my show and just like in passing on Facebook, whatever, I'll be like, oh, I'm fist fighting Minnesota Luke if my PG&E bill or my power bill is higher than normal. You know, just like I playfully give them a hard time. Because I'm jealous of them. Battle Rap Chris and Minnesota Luke are two people that I look up to, and I think that do a wonderful job in terms of their own battle rap journalism. And I feel like I'm just kind of an idiot who failed upwards. So Luke and Chris are definitely two guys that I look up to, and I will never pass up a chance to take a dig at either of them.
I've got to say that I think I preferred your first to Joe's first when you both tackle the cartoon bars. Like you say, there is some stuff there, but I mean, you know, animation with no dialogue, like the early episodes of Aeon Flux. I didn't actually get that reference, but it sounds good, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he did a bit more Adult Swim type absurdist cartoon stuff, Assy McGee, lines that I knew there was an audience for when he was saying them. So I'm like, all right, I know this show exists, so if people understand it, even better.
You Can't See Me, like the Muppets' baby grandmother. Quite like that.
Yeah, that was a good one. I like that one.
That was a pretty dope one. And the second theme, guilty pleasures. You did a lot of kind of your, mid-2000s emo stuff here. Transgender punk, Think You're Against Me.
Yeah,
pretty good.
Yeah, another. Again, these two rounds were almost meant to be obscure. It was kind of like an Easter egg hunt for the viewers, where if we're gonna talk about some things, and if you understand it, you win. Congratulations, you've won. So, like the Against Me line, especially that whole second round in particular, is if you're a fan of the artists and you get the reference, then we tried to do our job. No, successfully.
Bars weighing Megaton, talking Fallout Boy. Just, really stuff. Taylor Swift, the custom suits, tailored, sort of idea. Third round, I'm a turnout, got this burnout in my death grips. It's just, again, Death Grips a guilty pleasure. I guess it was just sort of music themed, was it? Or
Death Grips, it's just music themed. The guilty pleasure was the context, and I did try and fit that as much as I could. I do enjoy Taylor Swift. I do enjoy Fall Out Boy very much. But I'm not embarrassed to admit it. I'm sure some people might be. But, these are things Against Me. These are just bands we like. Just artists that we like, my style's brand new. It's like your favorite weapon. You keep barking DMX, you'll get a Great Depression. Those are two albums by those two artists. So it's just kind of referencing for the sake of referencing more than it was things we're embarrassed by.
Yeah, I'm more a fan of Deja Entendu. If I'm talking.
That's a classic. That's definitely Brand New is one of those bands that never at no point sucked. Most bands suck after their first 3 albums.
No, the Devil and God was fun. I like Daisy a lot, actually. I thought
Daisy was great. Yeah, I think Devil and God is their least best album, but even that album's still pretty damn good.
It's actually weird. Because they never tour. They're actually coming to the UK, but they're supporting Biffy Clyro, which was quite a surprising bill, quite a good bill, actually.
And that's impressive, or that's interesting, because I know that they've kind of subtly pushed that this is their last tour, or one of their final tours. They're wrapping it up sooner than later. So you would think they would do a big headlining tour where they sing all the hits, but hey, if you can see Brand New live, go for it.
Yeah, I think that sort of band, they just do things their own way. But, the choke, is it annoying for you? You were saying earlier that you want your opponents to live up to some sort of prestige, for the product. Can be a little annoying when they choke, can't it?
What's the question?
Oh, just like cutters choke. Like, I mean, when your opponent chokes, how does that make you feel?
Oh, I hate it. I hate it a lot, because I shouldn't hate it, because I choked once in the past and I hated myself over it. I know how bad they feel, but I want my battles to have as much replay value as possible. Yep. I don't want my opponent to choke. I don't want them to suck. I don't want them to stumble. I want them to be as good as I want to be. So it's obviously a bit frustrating, but it happens to everybody. You battle enough, you're gonna choke, you're gonna freeze, you're gonna stumble. It comes with the territory. So it happens, and I can't get too frustrated over it. But obviously, if I knew what their next line was and I could give it to them to pull them out of the chokehold, I would immediately.
Yeah, that's good, man. I mean, sometimes you hear the crew sort of doing that for people.
Yeah,
but so pushing on, it's so fucking cool that you got to be at the Bunker. What treat? Yeah. I mean, an amazing venue. What's it like just from someone to go inside?
Well, when you go inside, the first thing you'll see is a very professionally done octagon-shaped platform stage. It's about maybe just a foot. Well, actually, there is no... I'm all ass backwards. There's no stage in the center. There's an octagon-shaped platform surrounding the stage with 3 set risers. So it gives a very miniature stadium feel. You're going into a building with an almost, a smaller stadium setup with inside of it. So no one's view is obstructed. You're always a foot taller than the person in front of you, so you can see everything. It's hot as fuck. It's a warehouse. Yeah. Every event since the first one has made that easier. There's been fans. There have been air conditioning modules. There's been geishas waving paper fans in your face. And thankfully, the summer's almost over, so that'll only get better. But it's a wonderful atmosphere because it's no frills. There's no bullshit. There's not a venue with, a folk band playing next door. It's just a warehouse full of battle rap fans ready to hear some bars. Let's go. It's a good time.
Yeah, it's a fantastic place. I need to make a pilgrimage to sometime. I just love the fact that it exists, and it's so new.
Have you been to the States?
I have been to the States, yes, but
what part? Where'd you go?
I just recently came back from Orlando, and then we went to New Orleans.
Did you go to Harry Potter World?
We went to Disneyland. We didn't go to Universal.
Oh, Jess.
So, yeah.
You know what? That's a good choice. Disneyland's a better experience. You made the right move on that one.
Yeah, the theming, right? I mean, it's just when you go on these rides and just the kind of, I don't know, the detail kind of blew my mind slightly. It was just kind of, especially compared to UK theme parks, you might do appreciate, like the quality here is very low. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
And I've wanted to go to the UK forever.
Right.
My girlfriend, I enjoy the British office.
Of course, yeah. What do you? Yeah, I mean, British culture. What comedians? British comedians?
Okay, yeah. That's the thing. Is like I was very impressed by all the references you understood because obviously I referenced in the Joe Cutter battle predominantly American programming and musical artists, and you got a lot of it. So I'm aware that there's an American influx in media over there.
Totally.
Over here, because when you're a stand-up guy like me, I loved Eddie Izzard.
Yes.
Obviously, Ricky is well known over here.
Yeah.
My girlfriend, and I know not every British person is into this, but my girlfriend is a Whovian.
Okay, yeah.
So I've had to deal with a lot of that, and I've enjoyed myself. I found myself watching. She's like, "This is the 14th Doctor. He's the better one," and I'm like, "Okay, cool. This is a good time." So I've gotten into that. I love British wrestling.
Right. Okay.
So that goes hand in hand.
Is that like What Culture guys, or is that something else?
Oh, I enjoy What Culture. Yeah. And so obviously my extent of British knowledge growing up was the British Bulldog. So as an adult, I find myself. I was like, man, I would love to just go to, obviously, the Yankee destination for wanting to go to Europe is I want to go to London.
Yeah, man.
But I know there's more to it than London. But obviously, I would love to make the trip sometime.
Yeah, no, I have always felt that even, say if I didn't grow up in the UK, I think just London is one of those destinations, isn't it? Kind of like an LA, a New York, a Tokyo, whatever. It's just kind of, and it's the home of Don't Flop.
Yeah, especially... yeah, exactly. And another thing is an American if you ever watch an American action film and for whatever reason they wind up in the UK, it's always London. It's a London terrorist bombing that's about to happen that needs to be diffused. So that's what we associate with the UK.
And we get onto this battle, which is probably my favourite battle of yours, against Jeffrey.
We could have settled this in Boston, but you came flying to the West, and I will Lee Harvey your tea party, have you lying with your set. And if you don't get the reference, it means I'm sniping from the nest, and you seem clueless when you're talking like a nun describing sex.
I really felt that, that's not to say that you weren't on, you weren't cooking beforehand, but I felt you upped your game here. Like, the writing is very strong throughout, very impressive lines.
Yeah, well, thank you. I went in knowing I had to keep up with him. Jeffrey is very charismatic and a very good writer. So you always try to hold yourself to the standard of the person you're battling. And I knew Jeff was probably going to be one of, if not my toughest task to date. So I typically, I have a bit of a sillier style when I do the smaller battles, and I knew the wordplay punchline stuff that's really popular right now is what people react to and what people like. So I kind of shifted my material more towards a more wordplay punchline based audience. And I was really happy with the result, his performance and mine. So I thought it was great.
Yeah, no, this is exactly what you've been striving for, as you say, like a great document, a direct testament to both of your abilities. I mean, it's very, very watchable. Love this battle. I remember watching it originally just on the kind of off chance. I think this was my first experience with you in the battling form, and I thought both you guys killed it. Jeff I'd seen prior because obviously he teamed up with E Farrell against DNA and K-Shine, and the guy been battling for a long time himself. You start off saying he reeks of booze. Don't want to hear how you aim the techs. Those are your sister's guns. You use Amy's techs.
Yeah. A lot of aim text. I just, if I find wordplay I like, I will try my absolute best to drill it into the ground without losing anybody in the process. So I tried to write it out for at least four lines worth.
And a line that gets the very, very noticeable Saurus approval, spazzes out to this line, rightly so. Pistol sweep like the Middle East, the peace broke.
Yes, yeah. I should mention that the Saurus is the absolute best hype man in the world. Even in his own battles, when his opponent's battling, some people would knock him for doing too much and not standing there quietly with his hands crossed. But the dude is just full of life and laughter. Yeah. And, if he likes a line, he doesn't hide it at all. And he's the best guy to have in your corner for sure.
Yeah, no, I think maybe the Fresco battle is one of the more recent great examples of that, isn't it? The guy just gives his plaudits throughout. It's great.
Oh, absolutely. Right? Yeah. He doesn't, I wouldn't say he doesn't give up, because obviously he still has 3 rounds of awesome material, but even, during the battle, he's just like, yep, this guy is great. Absolutely, you got it, which is rare. Usually your opponent's supposed to hate you, but no, if it's good shit, let him know.
Yeah, no, he's gracious, like you say. Great writer. Great. I mean, an icon.
Yeah,
a genuine icon.
Oh, absolutely. He transcends.
Yeah. One of the things that I love about battling is just the way that kind of language is torn apart and syllables thrown together, and you can see what puns, what chemistry you can make. And then sometimes it's good to just see a kind of PG style pun about a Kevin James movie. If a soul fire, watch them all cop like Paul Blart.
Yeah, watch them all cop. That was a playful little reach on my part. Watch them all cop.
Yeah,
watch them all. Yeah. It was worth a shot. I liked it. There's a certain part of me that thinks the worse the line, the better. My favorite type of lines are the lines that maybe not everyone will get, but 3 people will lose their shit over. I had a line that I had been wanting to use forever that I just gave up on. It was, I wanted to tell someone so bad, it's you like to force multis, which is something I would never do because I'm better than that, and I rhyme good, clever dude, which is, obviously the most forced multi in the world. But there's a certain je ne sais quoi about, which is French, by the way, about wordplay that even if it is bad, it's so tongue-in-cheek that you gotta enjoy it.
No, I completely get that. And
Carter's the king of that.
Totally, yeah, no doubt, absolutely no doubt. Hate your guts, like when your girl first meets your family and your dad farts.
Yep,
quite like that one. That was quite
literally a lot of literal in my wordplay. Yeah. I literally hate the guts in your body for what you're doing.
Like I said at the start of the episode, it does have a sort of grind time feel. Maybe that's a bit of a weird expression, but it's true. Jeffrey comes in, organic, hit my jack. People are laughing already. The guy just has a great personality, doesn't he? He has this kind of like quite brisk, authoritative. Yeah, he's still got that cheeky wordplay that you like to do as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jeff's another guy who doesn't take himself too seriously. So he's not he knows if something silly and ridiculous will get a reaction. If it compromises, how he looks, he'll do it just because he knows it's funny. So he and I think, approach battling in the same way, to where, don't be afraid to say something stupid, because that might be the line people enjoy the most.
He has an absolutely fantastic, and I don't really want to quote it because I won't be able to do justice to it, but his whole scheme, he kind of starts off with kind of comparing you to a low-rank Carter Deems, Deems, which is pretty funny. But then his whole, I don't know if you recall the section where he's kind of going through all the Lil Wayne album covers of the Carter.
Oh yeah,
and kind of like baby cover version, Leaned
Carter
on the
1,
Rock,
2, 3, and 4.
Crazy, and just kind of the cap on your head and shit like that. Like really good stuff. Really,
it's a scheme that within itself had its own standalone lines. It had its own individual material. but it was all bridged together under the same umbrella of the Carter album scheme, which a lot of people didn't notice.
No.
Either they still haven't noticed or didn't know until afterwards, but every line held its own. And then, oh, by the way, in case you missed it, that was a part of the same scheme, which is super impressive.
Yeah, no, that I think that's the impressive is the right word with someone like Jeffrey. Yeah. Like, it's clever lines. Everyone can write clever lines. It's not kind of hard to pun and be imaginative, but it's just that kind of professionalism that comes with writing that I think is really good. The whole, and just one-liners as well. The punch comes with a kick like Jungle Juice.
Oh yeah, he's great with the one-liners.
Yeah.
And he's one of those guys that can sew his one-liners together to paint an even bigger picture. Anyone can just do line after line of interchangeable nonsense, but to weave it together to make something bigger is rare, and it's something that he's really good at. Even if he does have the individuals as well. This
GMO to get my chicken bigger is one of my favorite lines of the year.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's the white goods, man. He can swag the venue all the way down the street if you wanted.
Well, it's weird because just in front of him and reacting to his lines heavy is Caustic, and maybe in like a year or so, Jeffrey Caustic could be fun.
Oh, absolutely. I'm very happy that people are starting to notice Jeff. When I was offered Jeff, Avocado said, "How about Jeff?" And I had to ask. I was like, "You mean Jeffrey Jeff? Like Farrell's boy? Yeah. Like, you sure?" He's like, "Yeah, he's down." And I was like, "There's no way I'm saying no to this one." And I think now, after his last, me, Foreman, and Chrome, he's getting towards a position where the bigger names will get excited over being offered Jeffrey, which is awesome because he deserves it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Jeffrey just ends up his first with sort of like in the coupe, doors open up like a Jim Morrison bio.
Yep. Crazy. Oh, that was great. GMO to get my chicken bigger. I'm in the coop. It's like such a great PS on good line.
Yeah. No, crazy. Rip your stash off like a crooked cop. I mean, the whole writing in this entire battle is just terrific. When the shit pop, your color change. That's Pepsi Blue. This is your second.
Yeah. Do you remember Pepsi Blue?
I did. I got the reference, but what was the actual mechanic? Did the drink change when you open it? Or?
Well, Pepsi Blue was a version of Pepsi that was discontinued about 10 years ago.
Right.
And I loved it, but apparently people thought it tasted terrible because it's discontinued. But shit pop. Pop's another term for soda.
Right.
So, shitty soda, your color change, that's Pepsi Blue. And also because Farrell, I don't know if you're aware, him and Jeff, their whole thing that they started,
soda, right?
Swept the nation, was get him a soda. They didn't start it, but they took it from somebody in their iBattle or where they're from and made get him a soda like a really big audience thing out here. So obviously, I couldn't go a battle with Jeff without good old get him a soda reference.
I'm just actually looking at a bottle of Pepsi Blue right now. It was a berry cola fusion.
Yes, it was, and it was delicious. And apparently, you can never trust Wikipedia, but apparently it's sold in other countries because oftentimes sodas manufacturers will discontinue a product in one country but continue selling them in another. It might still be available in a third world country.
You can get it in the Philippines, apparently.
Well, looks like I have to go to Flip Top.
Manila.
That'll be fun. Okay, that's another thing is I'm as white trash as this is, I am a bit of a soda connoisseur, and I was looking at the list of Mountain Dews of like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I saw they've made 10 million, but they have a list of British exclusives that are discontinued in the States but are still being sold in Britain. And I was like, oh, great, another reason. Cool, just what I need.
Yeah, no, completely. It was interesting just to hear that, and I like all those old kind of Pepsi.
How do you feel about the EU split?
The Brexit, you mean?
Yeah, Brexit, of course.
Yeah, it was a shock, to be honest with you. I was very much someone to remain in, although it was a very difficult situation and kind of impossible.
Does that affect you at all on a personal level in terms of maybe even down to like state laws or your income or your health coverage at work? Is it affecting you at all?
It hasn't affected me personally yet, but I know friends who have lost jobs because of it already.
Yeah, and I know Battle Rap Chris. I don't know. He had. I might be getting this completely wrong, but he told me he had dual citizenship between Canada and there, and which is either lost or now compromised with the EU. So he can't work there anymore without a visa now, or something similar. So I know it's had quite an effect on many people.
Yeah, it's been insane. I'm trying to think if it's led to any bars. There have been Don't Flop events in the past couple of weeks. I don't think anyone's got a Brexit bar yet, but people are waiting.
If not, there's still time. But it was. I'm an ignorant Yankee American, so I couldn't write one without heavy googling.
I don't know if you saw as well, just in terms of like the sort of voting proportions and stuff like that. But there was very much kind of the 35s and under voted to remain in, but then the majority of the older people who aren't going to feel the change for the majority of their own lives were the ones who voted out.
Really? Yeah, wow.
Big disparity in the voting numbers. If you were to go on people under 35, we would be in clearly. But yeah, there were certain areas that were different. It was crazy, and especially I remember the morning waking up, and many people that I've spoke to felt the same thing. It was kind of overnight, so if you wanted to stay up till 5, you could, but I kind of went to bed thinking, oh yeah, I'll be fine. And you wake up and on the BBC News, right there it is on the news underneath, it's kind of like, we are out, and there was just this sense of shock, this genuine palpable shock. So it's pretty serious as we're going to get on Battle Rap, but yeah.
If it was caused by a generational gap, you could always take solace in the fact that in 20 years that generation will be dead, and you guys could try and wiggle your way back in.
Right, yeah, exactly. That's the British way. We just wait till
just very, very patient.
Yeah, very, very patient. So you were talking about him living in a trailer so nice you'd think Avocado made it.
Yes. Yeah, I had to. Which apparently Big K did a trailer wordplay before me. I didn't know that at the time. Someone mentioned it afterwards, but my whole thing is, if I haven't heard it, it hasn't been done. So ignorance is bliss. I think obviously people are going to write similar lines. There's 10 million battlers with 20,000 events happening per year. People are going to say the same thing now and again. And you can't say someone bit a line. It's just common thinking. Linear thinking is a very common thing in battle rap. So yeah, I had a trailer line, and so did he. People want to compare me to Big K, that's fine. Whatever, I
mean, yeah, people always bring up like similar lines of battle rap, but on my end, it's one of those things where if we're all dipping in the same pool, we're all using the same language. It's amazing there aren't more bit lines. It's amazing that every battle, you're not like, I've heard that. It's kind of like people can still be original in 2016.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, sometimes people are going to write the same stuff, and it's not always going to be something crooked behind it. It's just great minds think alike.
And Jeff talking about, a Slept On bar by Jeff that is insane. He talks about the nickel to spark. That's a walk to remember. Obviously, Nicholas Sparks is the author who did what was his really famous one, The Notebook and stuff like that.
Jeff's the king of just obscure little things that he'll throw in a setup and no one will get it, but they'll appreciate the punchline and react anyways. Yeah. And then if you're in the know and you understand the context of everything he said, you go, oh wow, that is super good.
And magazine bars. He acknowledges, yes, I know magazine bars, but he confirms that he's the illest rated. Which I quite liked as well.
He's even got an issue for the kids.
Yeah.
Super good.
Life of Pablo, they're going to have to be patching the stream. It's pretty dope.
Yep. Very timely. I'm hoping that's the line people will understand, a year from now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was very, very contextual on the title aspect. But and then in your third, the whole sort of punch card at the junkyard, clock in and get to scrapping. It's crazy.
Yeah, I wrote that. When I wrote that, I knew that was an E. Farrell line. Like, he didn't say it, but I wrote it, and I was like, this is so something Farrell would say.
Yeah. So
I used it. I didn't deliver it. The thing about E. Farrell, which is great, is he sells his punchlines tremendously. He's very palatable with all of his punches. So I delivered that line with nowhere near the quality of a Farrell delivery, but in the back of my head, I was like, take that.
Yeah, it definitely, you could taste some of the spice rack on that bar.
There was definitely hints of spice all over that line.
GoldenEye, halfway through the game when you get to kill it in the bunker.
Yes, that was a joke. That was also a joke. That line was originally a weekly Battlefield joke where before the Bunker Hell's first event, there's a Minnesota Luke footage of him or somebody of Avocado walking through the venue, and I threw that on my show with the Bunker music playing over it. And the joke was, if you get that joke, you had an awesome childhood, blah, blah, blah. And then I realized afterwards, I was like, oh, I could use that in my Jeff battle. So I just copy and pasted it from my show to my battle.
Yeah, amazing bar. And my second favorite, just to close up your round, my second favorite RL Stein bar, pen game scare kids like RL Stein, was your bar. Brilliant bar.
And that was, again, another line that apparently someone afterwards told me, some smack guy, or not, maybe not smack guy, I don't know, said, I scare smack rappers, I am URL
Yes,
Stein.
that's what I was going to quote. Diego DeVarlo, who I mentioned before, said that against Collie C. Yeah. Well, yeah, no, fair enough. I mean, you said earlier that you hadn't seen him, but again, I mean, when I had him on the show, I raved about that Collie C battle. It's one of my favourite battles of the year on his part. It's just, Collie C as well is doing quite well. He's kind of making his way for the Jeezys at the moment. But any sort of Goosebumps, as we've established throughout many episodes, any sort of 90s reference, I'm all over that shit. And I love the Goosebumps books and the TV show. So, you know, it was a great bit of work by one man. Like, it's kind of crazy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That captivated the perfect. I feel like the last generation, maybe not so, you know, this was pre-Harry Potter, but one of the last generations of children reading en masse. Yeah. So if you can write a good kids book that is trendy, that children will buy, you'll be successful. I think R.L. Stein and J.K. Rowling were the last two people to really hit that out of the park.
Lemony Snicket?
I suppose so, yeah.
Not as big, fair enough, but, you know.
Yeah, you know, Goosebumps and Harry Potter are the only book series I can remember kids pre-ordering. You know, there's a new one coming out. I'm going to buy it before it's out. Yeah. So now they're too busy with their fucking Pokemons. That generation is gone.
I am of the Pokemon generation, I have to say, though. So
as am I. I played Go this morning.
Oh, did you? Oh, right. Okay. It has to be maybe Gold and Silver prior. Like, I'll react to a Ruby Sapphire bar, but you're getting a hater's face for any Diamond Pearl shit. I like that. I like that Kanto region. Okay. You know.
I'm one of those people that I only swear by the first 150 because that's what the original anime was about and the first games were about. So once you mention a Pokemon after the 151, it's like I don't know who that is, but they sound cool.
You know, this is just Jeff. Only fake applause when we hear Laugh's tracks.
That was nice. Very nice.
Crazy. Love that. Put us on the map like Lewis and Clark.
Also very nice.
Yeah, crazy shit.
He's consistent with it.
He's a seriously good writer. I fucking love Jeffrey. He battled Eric Foreman recently in the bunker as well. He battled Chrome on World Dom, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, battled Chrome at World Domination.
Yeah, crazy.
Apparently got the Canadian audience to do a massive USA chant, which is insane.
Wow.
In the first round, but that's Jeff. He liberates. He's a liberator. He will go to your country and christen all of you Americans.
Yeah, it's unbelievable how consistent this guy is, and I wish him all the best. So, obviously, alongside all these fantastic battles, you have a show, weekly battle feed. I love it. You were very kind enough to give Battle Resume a shout out on the most recent episode. Thank you for that, man. Genuinely, that was a great honor because as much as I'm a fan of the battles, you know, maybe I love the show even more. I just think this show is brilliant. Everyone seems to love this show. Do you want to just talk about, I guess, first of all, Ruin Your Day, the sort of Avocado working together? How did that start?
Absolutely. How it started, I was a fan of the Ruin Your Day channel before I was a part of it. Right. And how it started, it's kind of a sad story, but it's a story. So fuck it. I got a GoPro for Christmas, and I am the least active person in the world. So I posted a video demo of me testing my equipment on Facebook, and I had known Avocado for years from rapmusic.com, and he'd always been very nice to me. I posted a video of me playing with my GoPro, and he said, you know, you should do a weekly battle rap show, and I'll put it on Ruin Your Day.
Wow.
And I got excited because I loved Ruin Your Day. And I was like, this is such an awesome offer. I didn't really have the time at the time. But few things happened after that. I got my GoPro, which I didn't use. I got fired from my job, and also Caddy died. And this happened within maybe 8 weeks of each other. So I had all this free time now. I didn't want to think about Ron anymore, and I kind of wanted to distract myself. So I figured, you know what, I'll give it a shot. And Clayton mentioned on his interview with you that I wanted to do it on my own, but that's not true. I made the show solely for Ruin Your Day. And the original concept of the show, if you watch the first episode, was a completely different direction. The name of the show was going to be Sobriety Subjective, where I address a webcam giving news with no slant, just very dry, deadpan recap. And then I would have a drunk cam, which was my GoPro, where I would be shit-faced drunk, being obnoxious and rambling and not making sense. And it would be me playing to two different cameras, the sober cam and the drunk cam. So I submitted the episode, Kyle uploaded it, and he said, you mind if we call it Weekly Battle Feed? I made this opening graphic for you. And I said, oh, absolutely, that's great. So he sent me the graphic. I opened the show with it and changed the name. And thank God he did that, because if it was Sobriety Subjective and I had to pretend to be drunk every week, it would have been an awful show and nowhere nearly as good. So, and also, if you watch the first episode, the quality looks like shit before I updated my equipment. So it was a real learning process, kind of finding what I wanted to do with it. I've always been a big fan of Saturday Night Live and a Weekend Update. So I like the idea of joke news recap, 5 minutes or less. You can watch it while you poop. And that's kind of what I wanted to do. And it's been great. One thing I can say is I have complete creative freedom. I've never been told I can't do anything. And Ruin Your Day as a channel covers all battle rap. We've uploaded clips from Don't Flop and Smack, and we've talked about everything under the sun. But Ruin Your Day is always going to have an association with King of the Dot, because Avocado is a promoter for King of the Dot. Clayton is the editor and cinematographer for the battles. I've hosted King of the Dot pay-per-views. But we are truly a third-party channel when we have the ability to discuss whatever we want, upload whatever we want. If I hit up Avocado and Clayton and said, hey, I want to do a video where I'm cleaning out my vacuum cleaner and I talk about my favorite Don't Flop jokes, King of the Dot obviously wouldn't upload that. No channel in their right mind would upload that. Yeah. But those guys would be like, hell yeah, man, do it. Send it tonight. So it's a great partnership, and I'm really lucky to be a part of the channel.
Yeah, and Weekly Battlefield, I should say, obviously we mentioned it in the Clayton episode before, but it is just fantastic, man. Not only is it really well put together with a very distinct line of your personality throughout it, that's why I like it so much. It's clearly your own humor. It's very witty. It's very kind of I don't want to say British comedy-esque, but it just has that kind of absurdism, almost like late night Conan sort of.
You can say that. You could say it's got a bit of a British influence. Yeah. It's got a dry toast taste to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is what I'm going for, and I appreciate you enjoying it. That's what I do it for, and the show has opened more doors for me than battling has, because I've been battling since 2010, and I've been doing the show since the beginning of 2016. And due to the show, I've gotten offers to go to Boston and work Massacre, to host the Bunker pay-per-views, to I've gotten offers to go do interviews here and there, and it's great. I'm happy to have kind of opened a door that not many battlers are brave enough to go for, because they think, oh, if I battle and I have good bars, opportunities will just show up. And I've always been kind of insecure in that, no, opportunities will not show up due to my bars. I need to fucking film myself in my bedroom being silly and hope someone likes that more. So that's, and I did it mainly just because I love battle rap and I wanted to work with Avocado and Clayton, and the fact that people enjoy it and people want to work with me because of it is just icing on the cake. Someone once commented that Ruin Your Day is almost like battle rap's best kept secret, which I agree with, not just because I'm a part of the channel, but as a fan, shows like Go Roan and Uber Ride with Pat State, Beers and Battles, Blunts and Battles, all this great content comes from one channel. And I want everybody to be aware of it because I feel like fans who would love Ruin Your Day just aren't aware of it yet. And I want to broadcast the channel to as many battle fans as possible because not nearly enough people who enjoy the content are aware of it, I think.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, the amount of subscribers that King of the Dark, Don't Flop URL have, and Ruin Your Day comparative has, I think it's like under 3,000 maybe.
It has about 2,000 subscribers. Yeah. And I know of the 5 million views that Dumbfounded and Conceited got, there's an audience within those views beyond 2,000 that would enjoy weekly battle feed, that would enjoy the daily Spice clips, that would enjoy the content we put out. And so, it's tough. It's tough to promote yourself without it coming across as spam sometimes. When weekly battle feed comes out, I make sure it's on Reddit, RMBVA, Talkback, Viewpoint, Twitter, the big spots. But there's an audience beyond those mediums that would enjoy the show that just haven't been reached yet. And my goal is to kind of, grab their attention somehow.
Yeah, completely. And it's deserved, man. And what I love is the archival aspect, which appeals to me as well. That's what I love about Battle Rap, getting into the history of it. And that's what Ruin Your Day does so well. It has so many it has like a battle of thesaurus battling this guy, and he's just college liberal. And it's like from 2005 or some shit. And it's just like, I eat that stuff up, man. It's so fantastic to see faces recognizable and maybe faces you don't, know. Just doing this thing that we love, and seeing the raw aspects of it and catching up on all the different ideas. And subscribe to Ruin Your Day. Check out Weekly Battlefeed. It's terrific. I've always been a fan. And it's just great that you can kind of click on a Weekly Battlefield episode. I was watching some of the early ones, and you just go through the uploads of the week, the news of the week, and it's just kind of a nice recap. Really, sometimes you forget kind of what battles happen near each other, and it's very useful. Yeah,
absolutely. I know that the common battle fan who doesn't lurk the Facebook groups all the time, they might not know that Averb wants to do a 2-on-2 on King of the Dot. They might not know the source is battling Chilla Jones. So maybe, they'll learn or they'll become aware that way. And like you were saying about the archival stuff, I kind of wanted to make a show that I would enjoy. And I enjoy a good WRC reference. If I saw a joke about Erg saying jump off for cunts, I would enjoy that joke. And so there is an audience of people who I think would get a kick out of that. And basically, the more obscure, the better. I'm just thrilled people seem to have enjoyed it in the process.
Yeah, man. I mean, you've only got to look at the comment section on any episode that gets uploaded, and people have real love for the show. And there's a reason why. It's hilarious as well. I can't really do justice to the actual sense of humor just by talking about it. You have to sort of see it. But I just like the sort of, I said brass eye before, but that kind of, you're always clowning on people. Like you talked about The Simpsons before. That's what's so great about The Simpsons. Nothing is holy in its eyes. Like it just mocks everything as equals.
Oh yeah.
And
another thing about my humor in the show, which I think is really kind of the Ruin Your Day motif, and why I love working with Clayton and Kyle is I at no point in my show am I going to try and be mean. At no point in my show am I going to say so and so sucks because I think they're dumb.
Yeah.
I'm not. It's not insult based. But I do like to clown. I like to joke. I like to wink at certain things in the battle community. At no point do I want any of my material to seem mean-spirited or slanderish. I just kind of want to be as tongue-in-cheek about how ridiculous everything in battle rap is, and not try and hurt feelings or burn bridges in the process. And that's Ruin Your Day. We try and highlight the positive, lighthearted aspects of battle rap. You guys want to see two guys scream at each other and how they fucked each other's moms and hope they die? You can find that absolutely anywhere in battle rap. But you're not going to get, a ginger with giant arms filming Big K talk about being arrested by a horse. There's only one spot for that.
So we'll close it with a few quick-fire questions. I'm going to ask favourite, but just anything that comes to the top of your head that you really like. So first of all, do you have a favourite Don't Flop battle?
Favorite Don't Flop battle? God, I gauge my favorites by the ones I've watched the most.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a complete cop-out to say bad bars. Simply because obviously, that is its own.
No one said that yet, so it's
that's its own special thing, and I don't want to seem like a fair weather fan because of that. But that is a battle that when it came out, I think most people watched it and thought, this is brilliant. Why hasn't this been done before?
Yeah.
And this is a battle that you can show to people who don't watch battles all the time, and they'll understand the absurdity of it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's up there. I liked Tony D and Shoddy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a classic.
I thought that was great. And I'll say Tony D and Shoddy. I like that one. I like... God, this is awful, but I'll stick with that before my brain pops up with 20 after we hang up.
URL?
My favorite URL battle is B Magic versus Conceited because
that I love that battle. I love that battle.
That battle has a lot of replay value. B Magic's one of my favorite writers in the world.
To keep the B fresh, brought something aluminum foil.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah,
and it's two totally different types of punchliners. Conceited sells it 100% with his charisma, and B Magic has no charisma at all. And he almost has like diamonds fall out of his mouth, and he doesn't even care. So it's just great.
The whole popcorn, if anyone in concession stand, is just breathtaking. And I think Minnesota Luke mentioned that battle, and I think he said that it's like one of the best ever battles in terms of like audio visual. Like it just sounds great and looks great.
Oh yeah,
and he's right. Actually, they nailed it at that event. Mad.
Yeah, the whole thing is just a absolute pleasure to experience.
It is. And King of the Dot.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Favorite King of the Dot battle? I got to go with... it's going to sound biased because he's my friend, but I really like Carter and Ilmac. I've watched that. Again, battles I've watched multiple times, Carter and Ilmac. Mad Flex, Lose Cypher, I find myself watching a lot. And I guess, Disaster is always great to watch. Disaster and Past Day is always really good. But that's a long battle. My attention span is really short. It's very hard for me to sit through half-hour battles anymore.
Wow, that's a long battle. No, good choices. So final two questions. First of which being, your favourite musical artist or band that is in no way hip-hop related? I guess you've got quite a lot, judging from the second round against Joe.
Oh, geez. I've reached at my age, I'm at a point where I just, for whatever reason, I love shitty pop music. Just radio hits I would have hated when I was a teenager. I have embraced. I've listened to a lot of Taylor Swift, a lot of Paramore lately. But, thinking back in high school, I was a very big... there's a metal band called Hatebreed. I'm a hardcore, punk hardcore guy.
Right.
I spent all high school going to punk hardcore shows, little straight edge teenager. I love Coheed and Cambria.
Yeah.
They're up there. You know what? I'm actually fucking looking around my room, seeing like, do I have memorabilia from anybody? I'll just, I'll play it safe and just say I like Coheed and Cambria a lot.
Yeah, and finally, LAUGH-N-STALK, your favorite film.
Okay, that's, again, I'm looking back at my DVDs going, what do I like enough to own in a physical format? I love Mike Judge, who wrote Office Space, Idiocracy.
Silicon Valley did he do as well?
It's the creator of Silicon Valley, creator of Beavis and Butthead and King of the Hill.
Jesus.
Anything he does, I swear by. But and this is probably people will think of this what they will, because there's such a stigma to people who love this movie. I'm a really big fan of the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Okay.
So that's definitely one of those movies I could just watch any given day and enjoy it and sing along. So I'll let people think I dress up in drag and worship Tim Curry, which I kind of do. And say Rocky Horror.
All right, excellent, man. So finally, how do people find you, get at you? I mean, what are the best methods?
I'd say on Twitter, I'm at Dr. LAUGH-N-STALK, Dr. LAUGH-N-STALK. You can find me on Facebook, Brett Pullen. No, don't add me on Facebook. I have enough Facebook friends. Find me on Twitter at Dr. LAUGH-N-STALK. Instagram, LAUGH-N-STALK. LAUGHN Stalk. And then the best way to, if you really want to reach me, I always encourage people to subscribe to Ruin Your Day on YouTube and comment on Weekly Battlefeed, and we'll be instantly best friends.
Thanks so much, man. This has been fantastic.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it, and I thoroughly enjoy Battle Rap Resume.
Thank you, man. No, I appreciate you you mentioning me in the show again. Check out that episode. That was the most recent episode. I think that has Roan in the thumbnail. So yeah, check that one out. It's kind of a WD6 recap one. But yeah, thank you again, man, and thank you to everyone for listening. We'll see you next time.
Thank you much.